The research outpost floated silently above the icy surface of planet Virel 9. Its metal panels reflected the faint light of a distant star, and inside, the hum of machinery and occasional chatter of scientists filled the air. For years, the humans had monitored this remote sector, recording the subtle movements of alien ships and studying distant signals. The station's commander, Lieutenant Mara Jensen, always reminded her team, "Stay alert, stay cautious. Anything can happen in this part of the galaxy." On this quiet morning, a new signal appeared on the sensors. A small ship, barely larger than a human shuttle, was plummeting toward the icy surface. The crew scrambled, their eyes wide. "It's crashing. Coordinates are coming in fast," shouted Kieran, the outpost's communications officer. The team watched in tense silence as the tiny ship tumbled through the thin atmosphere, sparks trailing from its damaged hull. Before anyone could respond, a faint figure emerged from the wreckage. It was tiny, no bigger than a human child, but its large, luminous eyes glowed with intelligence and fear. The being's skin shimmered in soft shades of green and blue, and delicate wings folded tightly sparkled faintly in the pale light. The alien girl staggered, clutching a small glowing device. She spoke in a high-pitched, trembling voice. The words were unfamiliar, but her tone was urgent, desperate. She was begging for something, her life, it seemed. The crew froze. The station had warnings about this species. They were known for being powerful and unpredictable, their technology far beyond human reach. Some of the scientists whispered nervously, "She's tiny, but she's intelligent. We can't just leave her," said Dr. Elias Grant, the station's lead scientist. His voice was calm but firm. He stepped forward while others hesitated. "Wait, Elias, we don't know her intentions," cautioned Lieutenant Jensen. "She could be a spy or a scout. She could even signal her fleet." "I understand," Elias replied, "but she's clearly terrified, and right now she's unarmed. She's asking for help. We have to respond to that first." Ignoring the uneasy murmurs behind him, Elias moved slowly toward the tiny alien. His hands were open, palms facing outward, a gesture of peace. The alien girl froze at first, but then her glowing eyes softened slightly. She tilted her head, studying him carefully. "Easy. I won't hurt you," Elias said gently, kneeling to appear closer to her height. He noticed the faint scratches on her skin and the tiny sparks leaking from her wings. "You're hurt. We can help." The girl hesitated, her small hands trembling as she held her device closer. Then, after a long moment, she spoke a few broken words that Elias could barely understand. Danger. Must protect life." The room fell silent. Everyone waited, unsure whether she meant a threat was coming or whether she was pleading for protection. Elias tried to make sense of it. "She's asking for life. She doesn't want anyone hurt." Lieutenant Jensen exhaled slowly, though tension still lingered. "This is unusual. Most of the reports we've read said they were aggressive, but she seems different." Elias nodded. "Intelligence doesn't always equal hostility. Sometimes the smallest being can have the most courage." He gently extended his hand. The alien girl hesitated, then slowly stepped closer. Her wings flickered as if sensing his intentions. She placed her tiny hand in his, and Elias could feel a faint warmth pulsing from her. The device she carried lit up briefly, sending a soft blue glow across the lab. "What is that?" Kieran asked, eyes wide. Elias shook his head. "I'm not sure, but it seems important to her. We should be careful." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the outpost. The sensors detected multiple ships approaching from the planet's horizon. The crew's chatter turned to panic. "Contact! Incoming!" shouted Lieutenant Jensen. "They're not alone," the alien girl gasped. Her glowing eyes darted toward the monitors. Coming, fast, dangerous." Her voice was frantic, almost desperate, but Elias noticed the way she tried to communicate quickly, pointing at the approaching signals. The outpost scrambled. Weapons powered up, shields activated, and security personnel moved to strategic points. Some crew members argued about whether to fire first. The alien girl's small hand gripped Elias's finger tightly, as if begging him to act with caution. Elias understood. He took a deep breath. "Everyone hold fire! She's telling us something. We need to listen before we act." The crew hesitated, their eyes shifting nervously between the approaching ships and the tiny being in Elias's hand. Lieutenant Jensen's voice was steady but tense. "This is highly unusual, Elias. Proceed carefully." The alien girl made small gestures, pointing at the screens, then at Elias, then back at the horizon. Gradually, he realized she was warning them, not threatening them. Her species had the technology to destroy planets, yet here she was, pleading for peace. Elias's mind raced. She's asking us to protect life. Not just hers, but everyone's. Something bigger is coming and she can't face it alone. Some scientists muttered doubts. How can a tiny alien girl stop a fleet? They whispered. This is insane, Elias shook his head. It's not about stopping them alone. It's about trust and showing strength in the right way. Sometimes compassion is stronger than weapons. The alien girl's wings flickered brighter. She seemed to understand Elias's words, her tiny body trembling as if relieved. Her glowing eyes locked with his, full of hope. Lieutenant Jensen stepped closer, lowering her weapon. All right, but be ready. If she's wrong, we may not get another chance. Elias nodded. I know, but right now she's asking for life. And that's what we do, we protect life. The approaching ships were getting closer, their shapes visible even in the thin atmosphere. Shadows of sleek alien designs moved across the icy plains. The outpost held its breath. Elias lifted the tiny alien slightly, showing her to the sensors. See, we are listening. No one will harm you. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter. She nodded quickly, a tiny spark of confidence passing between them. Then, with a faint hum, her device activated, sending a soft pulse into the air. The approaching ships paused as if reacting to the signal. The outpost team stared, stunned. The tiniest alien in the galaxy had just changed the balance of power, not with threats but with a plea for life. Elias whispered to her, Don't worry. We'll face this together. You're not alone anymore. And for the first time, the alien girl's trembling voice sounded almost like a laugh, a soft, tiny sound of relief that echoed across the metal walls of the outpost. Far above the icy plains, the fleet hesitated. Somewhere in the stars, the galaxy held its breath. The outpost had never been so tense. Outside, the icy plains of Virel 9 stretched endlessly, but all eyes were glued to the approaching alien patrol. Their sleek ships glinted in the pale light, moving with precision and purpose. Inside, the crew debated, whispered, and worried. The tiny alien girl clung to Dr. Elias Grant, her wings flickering nervously. Elias, we can't let them get this close, Lieutenant Mara Jensen said sharply. We don't know if they'll attack. Elias shook his head slowly. We still don't fully understand her species, but I believe she's telling the truth. They won't attack if they see that she is safe. The alien girl tilted her head toward the monitors and pointed, then tapped Elias's chest. It was clear. She trusted him and wanted him to act. Kieran, the communications officer, frowned. Trust with a fleet approaching? That's risky. One wrong move and we could all be destroyed. Elias knelt to the girl's level, speaking gently. I know it's dangerous, but sometimes understanding and calmness are stronger than weapons. We have to try. The alien girl's tiny hand pressed against his, a quiet reassurance. Her glowing eyes seemed to say, we must act together. Outside, the patrol had stopped their advance, hovering above the icy plains. Their ships were sophisticated, built for speed and combat, yet they lingered in place, scanning the outpost. The crew held their breath. Why are they waiting? Whispered one of the junior scientists. Elias studied the monitors. They're listening. They can sense her presence. She must be signaling them. The alien girl held up her glowing device. Its faint hum pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Slowly, Elias understood that it was a communicator, an advanced piece of technology that could transmit her intentions across vast distances. Lieutenant Jensen frowned. So, you're saying a tiny alien girl is controlling a fleet? How is that even possible? Elias shrugged. Not controlling exactly, but she can speak to them in ways we cannot, and she wants peace. That changes everything. Suddenly, a signal flashed on the monitors, an approaching transmission from the patrol. The crew leaned in, trying to decipher it. The alien girl's device glowed brighter, translating in bursts of light and vibration that only Elias could interpret. She says, humans have helped her, Elias said slowly. She says we must be allowed to live, or worse things will happen. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Worse things? Kieran asked. What does that mean? Elias shook his head. I don't know fully. But it's clear she's asking us to trust her, just as we are trusting her. This isn't about battle, it's about understanding each other. Lieutenant Jensen took a deep breath. All right, but we stay ready. Weapons charged, shields up, one wrong move. She didn't finish the sentence. Everyone understood the consequences. Elias stood and approached the airlock. He carried the alien girl in his arms, moving slowly toward the outer platform. The patrol ships hovered closer, their sensors scanning. The crew gasped, unsure if Elias was risking everything. Elias, wait, Kieran called. This is insane. You can't just walk out there. Elias shook his head. She trusts me, and I trust her. That has to be enough. The alien girl looked up at him with glowing eyes, tiny wings fluttering nervously. She made a series of gestures, pointing at the patrol and then at Elias, as if urging him to step forward. Elias extended his hand toward the patrol, holding her safely. Slowly, cautiously, he spoke in a calm voice, making gestures to show he meant no harm. He lowered his arms, presenting her as a symbol of peace. The patrol paused, their lights flickering in response. Then a small craft detached from the fleet and hovered closer. It was elegant, shining metal with smooth curves, but there were no weapons visible. The humans held their breath. The alien girl stepped slightly forward in Elias's arms and spoke. Her voice was high-pitched but firm. They, humans, not enemy, help life. Elias translated her gestures and words for the crew. She's telling them we are not a threat. She came here for protection, not for conquest. For a long, tense moment, the fleet didn't move. Then a signal flashed from the nearest ship. The alien girl's device pulsed in response, communicating in silent bursts of light. Slowly, the patrol lowered their hovering position, signaling that they would not attack. The crew cheered softly, but Elias raised a hand. Not yet. We still need to understand them. The patrol transmitted one final message, simple but clear. One human has changed everything. Do not fail her, Elias's eyes widened. He realized the importance of his choice, not just for the alien girl, but for the potential relationship between humans and her species. Humanity had just earned a moment of trust in the galaxy. Lieutenant Jensen approached cautiously. Elias, that was brave. And reckless, Elias smiled faintly. Maybe, but sometimes doing what is right requires courage, not just weapons. This girl, she's showing us that life is more important than fear. The alien girl's tiny wings fluttered as she looked around the outpost. For the first time, her body relaxed. She spoke softly, almost to herself, but Elias understood her meaning. I am safe. You protected me. The crew began to realize that the small being had changed their perspective. The galaxy was bigger than they had imagined, and yet even the tiniest creature could influence events in unimaginable ways. Elias knelt beside her. You're safe now. We will keep you safe. The alien girl pressed her glowing device to his chest, and a faint pulse of light connected them. Elias felt warmth and trust flow through him, stronger than any weapon, stronger than any fear. Over the next few hours, the crew worked with the alien girl, learning to communicate in small ways, understanding her gestures and signals. She revealed glimpses of her species' culture, their love for life, and their desire for peace. In return, humans shared their knowledge, showing respect and curiosity. Outside, the patrol had returned to their positions, watching silently but no longer threatening. A fragile peace had been established, built on trust and courage. Elias understood that this was only the beginning. One human, showing empathy to a tiny alien girl, had shifted the balance of interstellar relations. And the galaxy was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. The alien girl looked up at Elias, her large eyes glowing softly. Together, protect life, she whispered, barely audible. The days after the first encounter were unlike any the outpost had ever experienced. The tiny alien girl, now more relaxed, moved carefully among the human crew. Her wings shimmered softly in the lights of the station, and her glowing eyes observed everything with quiet curiosity. Even the youngest scientists found themselves mesmerized by her intelligence and grace. Dr. Elias Grant stayed close, guiding the humans in learning how to communicate with her. It was slow at first, gestures, simple symbols, and the occasional pulse of her glowing device, but gradually, a shared understanding began to form. She's teaching us her language, said Kieran, who had been one of the skeptics, and in return, we're learning from her. It's amazing. Lieutenant Mara Jensen nodded thoughtfully. It's more than that. She's teaching us patience, trust, and the power of compassion. I never expected an entire alien species could be influenced by a single small being. But now I see it's possible. The alien girl, whom Elias had affectionately named Lyra, began to show the crew parts of her culture. Tiny holographic images from her device appeared in the air, depicting scenes of her homeworld, lush forests, sparkling lakes, and enormous cities that seemed alive with energy. Lyra pointed to these images, then to the humans, as if suggesting that one day the two civilizations could meet in peace. One afternoon, the outpost received a communication from the patrol that had first appeared near Virel 9. Their ships hovered above, silent but clearly watching. Elias approached the terminal cautiously. The message was simple but clear. You have proven your intentions. Continue to protect her. Your species has potential. The crew exchanged amazed looks. They're recognizing us, Kieran whispered. Because of her, and because of you, Elias. Elias smiled, but his mind was already turning to the future. It's not about me, he said. It's about showing that humans can make the right choices. We can be brave in ways that don't involve fighting. That's what they are seeing. Lyra perched on a small table, her glowing device pulsing gently. She seemed pleased with the humans' efforts. For the first time, she even attempted to mimic their expressions, a tiny smile, awkward but full of warmth. The crew laughed softly, a sound that echoed across the cold metal halls, bringing a sense of life and comfort to the station. Over the next week, the humans and Lyra began planning small experiments together. They tested ways to improve communication, and even created small devices that could translate gestures into basic words. Lyra's species had technology far beyond human understanding, but she seemed fascinated by human creativity and ingenuity. One day, while observing the distant patrol ships, Lyra's device suddenly emitted a strong pulse. Elias picked it up immediately. Through the translated signals, he understood her warning. A larger threat is coming. Many worlds may be in danger. Trust humans and work together. The crew was stunned. A greater danger than the patrols? Elias looked at Lyra, his resolve firm. Then we must prepare. But now we are not just humans or aliens alone. We are allies. Lieutenant Jensen stepped forward. She trusts us. And if we fail her, we fail ourselves. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. The station began a series of preparations. Defensive protocols were reviewed, and communication channels were strengthened. Yet amid the tension, there was a sense of hope. Humans were no longer facing the galaxy with fear alone. They had shown compassion, courage, and understanding. Lyra's influence grew quietly among the crew. Even the most hardened scientists and security officers found themselves inspired by her bravery. She had come to them tiny and helpless, yet her presence sparked a transformation in the humans' hearts. One evening, Elias took a quiet walk with Lyra along the observation deck. The icy plain stretched endlessly below, bathed in starlight. Lyra's small hand rested in his, and for a moment the vastness of space felt less intimidating. You see, little one, Elias said gently, courage is not just about fighting. It's about choosing to protect life even when it's hard. That is what makes us strong. Lyra's wings flickered softly and her glowing eyes reflected the distant stars. She reached up and touched his cheek lightly. Though she could not speak fully, her gesture conveyed trust, gratitude, and hope. Back at the station, the crew had begun sharing stories of what had happened. The tiny alien girl, the incoming patrol, and the human who chose empathy over fear. Word spread across the outpost that humanity had the potential to be more than conquerors. They could be peacemakers, guardians of life in the galaxy. Days later, the patrol ships left Virel 9, but not before sending a final message. Humanity has shown what it can be. One small act of compassion can change the future. Elias stood with Lyra on the observation deck, watching the ships disappear into the distance. Do you see that, little one? That's the galaxy noticing us. Because of you, and because of us. Lyra tilted her head and let out a soft, joyful sound. It was a sound that carried hope, a sound that said the universe might be kinder than anyone had imagined. The outpost slowly returned to its daily routines, but everything had changed. Humans and Lyra had learned from one another, and a new understanding had begun to take root. The galaxy felt less like an unknown threat and more like a vast network of life, waiting to be respected, protected, and understood. Elias often reflected on the lesson he had learned. True strength was not measured by weapons or power, but by the courage to protect others, to listen, and to choose empathy when fear was the easier option. and as Lyra played among the humans, teaching them the gestures and songs of her world. The crew realized that this small alien girl had not only survived but had sparked a revolution of hope. She had proven that even the tiniest life could have a giant impact on the universe. In the end, humanity's reputation in this corner of the galaxy was no longer defined by conquest or fear. It was defined by compassion, courage, and the decision to protect life, even when no one else expected it. Elias looked at Lyra, smiling. Together, we've done something extraordinary. She tilted her head, wings shimmering in response, and the bond between human and alien grew stronger. Above the icy plains of Virel 9, the stars twinkled as if in approval.